Happy Saturday, y'all. What is up? It is live stream Saturday. I'm excited to have you guys in the house. Make sure we are set up appropriately. And we've got good audio today. We do. All right. Welcome, y'all. So it is that time. Live stream Saturdays. These are quickly becoming one of my favorite videos to do. And for a lot of different reasons. I get to chop up the numbers. On a regular basis and stay in tune with my audience, which is great. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. This is one of the, I swear, this is just my favorite thing to do. Really getting a kick out of this. And I'd love to know where you're watching from. It's one of the questions I ask every week. Let me know where you're tuning in from, what city, what area, what state, what country. I'd love to know. And any questions you have regarding what's going on in Tampa, don't hesitate to drop those in the comments. Would love to answer those for you. Specifically. And today we're going to cover some talk about relocation in general. It won't just be Tampa specific. It is going to feature Tampa, but we're going to talk about where people are still moving away from and where people are moving to, because I think this is something that people want to know right now. And then of course we're going to talk to market, because that's what we do every single Saturday. Numbers are still extremely strong here in Tampa, but there are some leading indicators that tell us that things are due for a shift, so to speak. So I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about the health of the city overall, where I see things going in the next 90 days, because that's about as far out as I'm willing to risk the crystal ball, so to speak. But yeah, job numbers are super strong here in Tampa still. Hiring is still continuing. I know there's definitely some pullback from some larger companies. And I've been asking a lot of my, service-based industry friends, I'm talking about the people who are doing pools and plumbing and new kitchens and baths. Like, those are the questions that I want to know, because when spending starts to slow there, I think that's a much more real indicator of what's happening locally in the economy, because the services, right? The goods and services, when they start to slow down, now you really got to start taking notice of what's going on. But our unemployment numbers are stupid good, like I said before. So we're going to get into that stuff today too. But one of the things that I was just digging into this week, and there's so much noise going on with the economy, and I mean, we're at the point now where the government can't even, whether they can't or they're not willing to give a technical definition of what a recession is. At the end of the day, guys, you and I are both spending, somewhere between, $350 and $500 more a month just to do the things we were doing last year. And they can call it whatever they want, but my pocketbook and my wife tells me that we're we're definitely facing some challenges economically that can't be ignored. And I don't know about you guys, if you feel that same way. Put it in the chat. What are you seeing where you live? Are you spending more money for the goods and services that you buy on a regular basis? That is what I want to know. Please let me know in the chat, because we've talked a little bit about this. The one that we really noticed this last few months is electricity. And man, we've discussed before the cost of living here in Florida and what it costs to run a household. And, I've kind of walked you guys through what that median price or house looks like, right? In Tampa, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot ranch. And our home's just a little bit bigger than that. I think we're like 1,968 square feet, roughly. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath with a pool. So we've got a pool that's running up, pumps running, especially during the summer, your pump is running all the time, like 12 hours a day at least, to keep the pool healthy. And, during the peak season for the last 3 years, we've been very consistent. Peak season would be like July, August, September. Those are really the 3 hottest months here in Florida, where average temperatures are definitely, it says 88, but, during the peak of the day, you're going to be looking at that 92 degrees. That kind of range. But our bills at those peak time periods were roughly, a little over $400 for the electrical bill. Now, I don't have a gas bill. So wherever you're watching this from, I had a gas bill when I was home in Detroit, but we don't have that here. So kind of keep that in perspective. But what I have also shared with you guys is based upon our average electricity bill between our heat and our gas, where we used to live in Detroit 4 years ago, we're actually spending more money per square foot there. So while my bill did go up, I've also almost doubled the size of the home that I have, which makes sense. And then, what are you expecting? But like I was saying, we had a big jump in our electricity bill. If you're seeing that too, please let me know. I'd love to know in the chat, what you guys are seeing as well. But we saw a bump last month, about $40, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but just like everything else, man, it's a pretty big hit when you start looking at it. I'm thinking that we might see as much as 500 for our electricity bill in the month of July, which is going to hurt, to say the least. We're starting to see gas prices. They're kind of doing this whole fluctuation thing right now. I saw $3.69 yesterday, and I also saw $3.99. So you're kind of in that limbo land of what's going on. I don't know how to compare that versus where you are, but we're still seeing that. And like I said, groceries to us, that's been the biggest, obvious expense. 30-40% for sure. And then here, we're still not able to get automobiles. So again, I don't know where you guys are. We're in the process of looking for a second car right now. And it's like, it's almost laughable what these guys are. It's just so hard. I visited a few dealerships, and I feel really bad for anyone who's been in car sales for the last 18 months, because I know it's been a challenge. And shout out to you guys, because, trying to sell something you don't have or can't get is very, very difficult. And, we're no different. We're looking for a new truck, or I'm also looking to, I'm considering getting Kate a toy, which I'm excited for, but we're probably going to end up getting a new Super Duty, and because we want to haul a travel trailer and do those kind of things so we can travel a little bit. And man, trying to get one is just crazy. So I don't know if you guys are seeing that as well where you are. Again, I'd love to know where you guys are watching from. And hey, if this is your first time to our live stream, welcome. We talk about, we here at Living in Tampa YouTube channel, we make videos that are all things Tampa Bay: what it's like to live here, what it's like to work here, what it's like to play here, the food, the dining, the outdoors, the beaches, and the sunshine. My name is Juan Alcala. I'm a licensed real estate agent and a team leader here with the True Living Group, and I help people just like you buy, sell, relocate, and invest in the Tampa Bay area. So welcome. Also, if you're following on Facebook or LinkedIn, and you're not following us on YouTube, I would strongly encourage you to go over there and subscribe. We make all kinds of videos. We do a live stream every single Saturday. We start this at noon, and I'll usually chop it up somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour. But we're going to talk about all things Tampa, what's going on in the area, new developments, weather, obviously, prices at the pump. We talk about all the things that are important to you. So if you're considering, buying, selling or relocating to the area, you've got a handle on it. So go check out our videos. I've got an entire live stream playlist, and I've also got we break down all of the cities, so you can go check them out. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And today we're going to talk about those things. We're going to talk about where people are relocating from and relocating to, as of right now, July 2022, we're actually almost in August, right? And then we're going to talk about, what's going on with jobs. We're going to talk about what's going on in our local economy here and the strength of real estate. And as the numbers read out here in July of 2022. So that's what we're going to cover today. Again, love to know where you guys are watching from. Hit it up in the chats. We're going to cover some cool stuff, but I want to get into some of these headlines that I came across this week that I think are worth to share with you guys. So bear with me. We're going to pop these bad boys open. Check it out. Where is this one is the one. Okay. So what better place to go to look for where people are moving from is the moving companies. So places like U-Haul and Pods. Pods has become very popular over the last probably 5 years. And I'm going to reserve my opinion of their performance for the clients that I've had, but I know that this is a company that is pretty helpful. But this is a great indicator because this tells you where they are moving people to, right? So you want to know where people are moving. U-Haul's got great data. Pods are going to have great data. The van lines are going to have great data. And what it says, where are people moving to in 2022? So this is based upon Pods data. So this is going to be specifically to them. And I wanted to share this with you guys because we're still getting a lot of calls from out of state, right, or out of country who are considering moving to the Tampa, Florida area. And I want to show you this based upon, Pods information here as well. It says, where are Americans moving to? Americans are overwhelmingly choosing to move to states like in the Southeast, including Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. we've talked a lot of before. And if this is your first time here, like, Florida doesn't have any state income tax, so it's very attractive. Tennessee is another one of those states. So you're going to find a lot of these Sun Belt states that are attracting, potential buyers and people who want to relocate based upon weather and other factors like their job growth. And, you're going to see a lot of that in here. And on this list, it said, here's a breakdown of the top cities that have seen the most growth in the last year. And number one on this list here is Sarasota, and they were 5th in 2021. Sarasota is just to the south of us. It takes me about an hour and 10 minutes to drive from my house, which is just south of Clearwater Beach, to downtown Sarasota. So just to kind of give you some perspective how close it is. Dallas Fort Worth is on that list. Nashville, Tennessee, which is also growing like crazy. And this is saying that Tampa Bay is number 4 on the list here. Ocala, which is about an hour and a half north of Tampa Bay. That's another area that's growing. And if you're on this list, I'd love to see it. Michael says we live where people come to vacation. Yeah, Michael, if you're in Tampa, that's absolutely true. I agree with that. Myrtle Beach is another one that's growing like crazy. I had a friend of mine who, moved from Detroit to Myrtle Beach last year, and he loves it. Knoxville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, Orlando. So, I mean, you can see in terms of Florida, you got Sarasota, Tampa, and Orlando, in the top 10. Then you got Phoenix, and then Jacksonville falls just outside of this. Now, remember, this isn't every data point. This is Pod's data point. So I wanted to share this with you guys because I just think it's cool to look at these different entities and how are people, moving across the country. Houston, San Antonio, some great stuff in here, right? So I wanted to share that with you. Michael said he is from South Tampa. What's up, Michael? Yeah, my man over there. West Shore Pizza. I had West Shore Pizza for the first time last week. So shout out to West Shore. And their gig is New York style pizza, right? Now, listen, man, I'm not from New York, so I'd like to get your perspective. I don't know where you're from, but like, who has the best pizza in South Tampa? Let me know. I would love to know that. Please put that in the chat because I want to hit them up. I'm not Barstool, by the way, but I love a good pizza. And what I found is it's been a little bit challenging here in Florida. Hey, there's a little nugget that you need to know, right? Our water is not great here. And what I mean by not great is like, it's not good. You need a reverse osmosis system or some kind of filtration system to make your water really, really nice here. And people really struggle. And I say that for this reason, because it's really hard to make things like good pasta or good bread if you don't have good water. Water is the base of all the things that we eat that we really enjoy. It's not the flavor, it's what it has in it and how it supports those things. I was in the beer business forever. They used to spend literally hundreds of thousands of dollars conditioning water so you could have the best quality beer. And it's very hard to make pasta, bread, and beer if you don't have good water. So that's why I asked that question. Eddie and Sam's in downtown. All right, dude. Michael, I'm going this week, and I will report back next Saturday how I feel about that. Is it New York style pizza, East Coast style? Like, what style of pizza is it? I'd love to know. Just shout out to that. All right, so back to where we were. I totally got distracted. All right, so here's a breakdown of the city. So, like, we looked at the cities here, and this is the reason I jumped onto this is because I saw this news article from Fox 13 here locally in in Tampa. And it says these are the top 7 cities. And I need to move the screen over here. These are the top 7 cities. Oh, let me go back to it. Get you guys the right screen. That's going to be super helpful. My bad. Okay. So these are the top 7 cities that home buyers are trying to leave. And that was the headline that it left with. And I really wanted to know where people are moving from and where they're moving to. I looked at this in depth last year. We did a whole video breakdown on this, and I'll probably do another one this year. But, as real estate sales volume starts to slow down, and it is, y'all, it is definitely slowing down. We're going to get into some of those numbers later. It doesn't change the fact that people can still move because more and more people are able to or are becoming able to work remote. That's still stuck in place. And I know you're hearing that employers are asking people to come back, and that's true. It definitely is true. And it depends on the location. But there is been a huge shift, and I don't have the data yet. I'm very intrigued to see how the U.S. Census comes out at the end of the year with how many jobs are actually remote, because I think my gut's telling me this is like evidence that I'm just seeing, like anecdotal, right? I think it's going to be somewhere in the range of 30, even 40%, which is crazy when you think about that. And, 2 years ago, that was not the case. So, sharing that understanding that people have the ability to move around is now why you're starting to see this thing. So these are the top 7 cities that homebuyers are trying to leave. Now, this is a study that went through this. This is not Juan's opinion, right? The National Association of Realtors recently noted sales of previously occupied U.S. homes slowed in the 5th consecutive month of June, and it was showing where. Okay, so it was showing where people are leaving. And here's what it said. According to Redfin, here are the top cities that people appear most likely to try to leave. And we'll talk a little bit about the factors and those types of things as well. But let's take a look at this. So San Francisco being number 1, and I think that that's probably financial reasons driving that the most, ability to move, and then some political stuff probably hanging in there. Los Angeles, same thing. New York, same thing. Washington D.C., the same thing. And I've just moved clients down from Virginia. I experiencing this as well. Seattle, I just helped clients move to Seattle. When I wrap up with you guys today, I'm heading out to Lutz and Land O'Lakes to go help another family that moved from Seattle. So this is definitely coming to me. I'm working with clients right now from Boston, and I'm sharing this with you guys because it's true. Okay. Like, this is real life, what's happening. Now, I told y'all, I'm from Detroit. I told you guys why we've decided to move. It was mostly weather driven. Another thing that I was looking at was strong economic growth and a population that was getting younger. Those are the 3 main factors that we looked at when we decided to make our move to Tampa. And Tampa was getting younger, the jobs were growing, and the overall economic growth was incredible. And that was in 2018. And it's done nothing but accelerate since that point. I'm not saying I was smart enough to predict what was going to happen, because we all know what did, and no one had control over that. But I think it's a great thing to look at here. Michael said New York is their secret is they import the water from New York. To your point, this is exactly what I'm talking about, y'all. So, Michael, thank you so much for sharing that, man, because it's I'm telling you right now, man, our water is not good. We were spoiled being in the Great Lakes. I didn't know anything but good water, but man, it's a whole different world down here. It's all, dude, our showers, like, they have to be cleaned in a different way. And like, the filtration is just nuts. So keep that in mind if you're considering making that move. All right. So Detroit, Denver, Chicago, and Minneapolis. So these are the places where people were leaving. Okay. And again, you can get into all the reasons, whether it's political or financial, it doesn't matter. I'm not here to argue those things. They just are. Data doesn't lie, right? People do. Data does not. So, when you look at these areas, who's leaving where? Now, according to the report, this is a report from Redfin again. That's what they're saying. And this is a report from about 2 million users is what this says here, that's a pretty big base. We're not talking about a poll of 1,000 people. We're talking about they're looking at data points from 2 million users on Redfin. It says, according to the report, these are the cities that are having an influx of homeowners in the coming months, and the net inflow is what it says. So Miami being number 1, Tampa being number 2, Phoenix still growing, Sacramento, Las Vegas, Cape Coral, Florida, which I know is growing. I got one of my partners lives down there. They're cranking it down right now. San Diego, which I love San Diego. If you guys never been to San Diego, it's honestly one of the most beautiful pieces of real estate in the entire country. My personal opinion, I just love the whole vibe. And then Northport, Florida, that is also growing like crazy. San Antonio and Dallas, Texas. All right. So, that is what we're seeing. And like, I saw this report and it got me digging deeper. It's like, okay, so why is that happening? So I wanted to dig in and really get a handle on what those areas were where people are moving from. Now, we've talked a lot in the past and over the recent few months about, the challenges we're facing in the economy and what that looks like. But what we want to be aware of is when you're looking at these things, right? So we looked at Pod's data, where are they moving people to? We looked at, Redfin, looking at data points of their users and where are they looking at homes and where are they moving to? And that's really what that study was about, right? And then we talked about, this idea of jobs and unemployment. And we talked last week that, Tampa as a whole, has really strong job growth. They were number 3 at like 5.6%. year over year, which is really good data. But here's something I want to show you guys as we start talking about like numbers and real estate and this scarcity of of a recession and the Federal Reserve moving interest rates. And we've talked before about how the Federal Reserve does not directly affect mortgage rates, but it does indirectly, right? And the Fed just moved 75 basis points over the, I think on Wednesday, right? Hit the number again. And here we are, but mortgage rates actually didn't go up. So it was really nice to see. But the thing that we want to stay focused on with that is like, as they continue to raise interest rates and that puts, pressure on the overall economy, what's happening in the job market. And I wanted to share this with you guys, because I know there's a lot of fear and uncertainty. And, I put everything that I think out there in cyberspace, right? I do this research. I look through these numbers and I share this information with people. And I got skewered this week for saying that there wasn't going to be in the next 90 days, there wasn't going to be a real estate crash, especially in Tampa. And the reason that I have enough bravado, so to speak, to say that is not because I think I'm super smart. It's just because I'm looking at the information, and I'm going to share these numbers with you guys. You're going to be able to look through this with me and kind of understand how I got to that conclusion. Because when we start with things like this, right, with where is our unemployment rate in Tampa? And this is something that wherever you're watching from today, go look at a chart that shows you where your current unemployment rate, because that's going to tell you a lot about what's going to happen in housing in particular, and when I look at my unemployment rate here in Tampa, Florida, and it's 2.4%. Right? That it's going to be very hard to convince me or anyone who's got a head on their shoulder that you are walking into a real estate crash when people are not having a problem paying their current mortgage, right? And we can get into delinquencies, and I can show you guys those numbers because they don't lie either. When there was 3 short sales in the entire Tampa Bay area and 1 foreclosure last month, you're going to have a really hard time convincing me that real estate is going to crash in the next 90 days. Right now, are we starting to see all the leading indicators that say we are seeing a slowing? 100%. Are we starting to see a lot more price decreases on properties? The answer to that is yes. But what I want to help people understand is there is a huge difference between a price decrease on a listing, the asking price, versus what homes are actually selling for every month, right? Because that's the sales price. And these things are different. But when you look at what's going on in your local economy, the unemployment rate for May, and this hasn't come out for June yet, was 2.4%. If you look at the history, when you climb down this chart here, you can see this. It goes all the way back to April of 2015 or 2018. And this is when we were considered to have a very healthy economy. Right? 2018 was very stable. We had very stable growth in the Tampa Bay area here. When we moved here in December of 18, I'm sorry, it was 3.4%. And everybody was okay with the world. The world was not coming undone, right? It was a very good area. And where we live, we were seeing real estate increases of 7 to 11% year over year for the previous 3. So that was 18, 17, and 16 in Tampa Bay alone. So I share this with you because if you look at the unemployment numbers, right, at that time, when I'm just giving you perspective, when we moved here, 3.4, then it went up to 3.9. It's been hovering all around this 3%, right? And then April of 2020, when the world flipped upside down, you can see it right here, 13.10%. That's a big number, right, y'all? So it jumped dramatically on that. But as you start to look how quickly the economy in Florida, especially in Tampa, rebounded. This is what I want to kind of give you guys some perspective on, right? Is it rebounded fairly quickly. Worst was actually May. A little rebound, 14.10, and then it starts to really clean up. And now look at this. Again, we moved, I was sharing my story, right? We moved down with the economy growing and everything going in a fairly strong, steady direction in December of 18, like we said, which was here at 3.4% unemployment rate in the Tampa Bay area. And then we got back to a 3.4 in November of 2021. And man, it has not slowed down since we had a 3.5 dip right there. We're down to 2.4%. So it's not an issue. Like until people start losing their homes because they've lost their jobs, it's going to be very, very difficult to convince anyone with a head on their shoulder that you are destined for a real estate crash, right? I just can't see that right now. And I shared that chart with you guys before about looking at, hyper supply and when things happen. What we are seeing, and I'm going to break these numbers down for you guys. We're going to get into these. As we start to dig in, we're seeing those price decreases. But again, price decreases versus a loss in value, meaning that prices are actually down, are two different things. So let's get in to some of those numbers here really quick. And I want to jump right in. Hey guys, I know I tend to nerd out on this stuff, but I think it's important for people to understand where their actual local economy is positioned, right? If you're in Tampa right now and you're looking at a 2.4% unemployment rate, you should not be shaking in your boots about what the Federal Reserve is currently doing. Is there reason to be aware? Is there a reason to dig deeper and look at different data points and information? The answer is 100% yes. So I would love to know if you are aware what your local, unemployment rate is. What is happening where you live right now? Or, do you have a lot of concern? What do you think is going to happen with real estate over the next 90 days? I definitely got my projections and how we're approaching our business, into 2023, but, we're not seeing these, the sky is falling type of activities. Shout out to pre-workout. Yeah. All right. So I wanted to start there, and now we're gonna get into some the nitty gritty of some numbers, and these are the things I think are really important to share with anyone who's considering making that move. If you're thinking about making that move to Tampa or anywhere else, go look at numbers like this. I'm going to help you guys. Kind of went through the exercise that Kate and I went through before we made a decision to move somewhere. Like I told you guys before, we moved 1,200 miles away. I didn't have a business down here. I wasn't working down here. I had to make it happen. So I needed to move somewhere that was growing. That was my idea. If we were going to make a relocation to Florida, we had to go somewhere that was going up, not going down, right? So I wanted to make sure that I share some of that info with you guys because I think it's super important to share. Let me get to... All right, let's get right into the Tampa housing market. And I like to use this. I can show you guys all my local data from my MLS, and some of that stuff reads like stereo instructions, and I don't think it's super important. But what I think you can do is use a great tool like Redfin. Now, Redfin has some really good economists on staff. I've talked about this before. I think it's a great place to go look. They do a really good job of tracking the data and sharing that back with their users. And I love these reports like this. You can break it down in any city just by giving them a zip code, which I think is fire. But what it does is really show you what's going on. And I want to show you because I put out this video about, what's going on in Tampa currently, and I got roasted from the audience. Now, what I also know is a lot of these people hear the headlines or they're on Zillow and they see a price decrease and they think that means that prices are going down. But I want to show you this. Here is the truth. Here are the facts, right? What's going on. And I pulled this chart back on. If you guys look with me on the right-hand side here. So this was June's data. And the way that real estate works is we're not going to get July's data until obviously July ends. And it's usually the second week. And the reason that is because not all transactions have settled. Deeds haven't been recorded. There's a lot of that, in between. And that's really what it boils down to. Once a property closes, the deed has to be recorded with the county or the state or whatever. And then that data gets pulled. And sometimes these smaller municipalities don't have the ability to get this done in a day or two. It might take them 10 days. So that's why you see this delay on data. But what I want to show you is here is the reality. This is June of 2022. Okay. So this is the most recent data we have. Tampa home prices were up 28.4%. When you hear people running around saying, I see prices dropping everywhere, that is not true. That is someone who's looking at anecdotal evidence, who's looking at Zillow or Realtor.com and seeing price decreases on asking prices of homes that are currently listed. These are two different things. If we look at where it was last year, 2020 in June versus 2021 versus 2022, there was a 28.4% increase in the median home value, right? This is the sales price of what's happening, y'all. So look at this data where you are locally, and it will give you some insights. Now, having said that, right, this is the thing that I want you to be aware of, right? There were, come on, baby. There were 944 homes that sold in June this year, down from 1,322 homes last year. Now, here's where I want you guys to take note. Last year, every real estate professional, including myself, was running around telling you we don't have enough homes to sell. And that was true, right? And we sold 1,322 properties during the month of June in Tampa proper. Okay, this is the Tampa city limits. In 2022, we only sold 944. So what you are starting to see is this huge decrease in volume. That's a 28.6% decrease in sales volume. Now, this is something you need to start taking note of, right? We started with unemployment being super low. So it's not an issue of people being able to afford their mortgage. You're not seeing a crash in housing because people are losing their housing. What you are seeing is a tremendous amount of pressure because the increase in interest rates and the fact that previous homeowners who have not decided to sell their home most likely have refinanced to that much lower rate. And now if they were considering moving, they're looking at going, well, now I'm going to have to move, make a lateral move, I probably won't get as much as I have now and my payment's going to go up. So now they're deciding to stick in place. So this is putting even more pressure on the economy and where we're at with this. So, and I want to share this with you guys. What are you seeing in your market, guys? Please put that in the chats. Are you starting to see a slowdown? And for the average person, here's how you know things are getting different. I'm going to give you an example. For the last 2 years, if there was a sign in my neighborhood, it was down within a month. Right now, if I walk out of my house, there are 2 houses for sale on my block that have been for sale for over 30 days that both were not priced appropriately to start with and have taken price decreases and are still sitting there. So this is how you know things are starting to slow down. Now, the other thing I want to keep in perspective here is how fast our house is moving, right? The velocity, how quickly our homes selling. I just gave you an example of my neighborhood, but that's not because those houses aren't going to sell. It's because they were not listed and marketed correctly out of the rip. I'm not mad at any agents. I'm not judging anybody, but you have to look at this information so you can understand where things are going. If you're pricing up, if the chart's going up like this, but you're starting to see sales volume fall, then you can't keep pricing like this thing's a rocket ship going to the moon, right? You've got to start looking at where the market is going. And you could see a flattening coming and it wasn't, and it was missed, right? So I want to show you this 8 days on market. That was from June. Now remember that data is from April and May. So I want to keep that in perspective for you guys, but I love sharing charts like this so you can get some insights on what that looks like, right? Now, the next one I want to share is I want to share local info, right? For those of you who are considering, making that move or relocating the area. And hey, if this is your first time on this channel, y'all, we make videos that are all things Tampa Bay. We help people just like you buy, sell, invest, and relocate in the area. Please feel free to subscribe and click that little bell. Also comment, let me know where you guys are watching from. Big shout out to those of you who are considering that relocation. And hey, if you just like hanging out on Saturdays with me because you like nerding out about all things real estate, I'm your guy. you're welcome. But now I want to show St. Pete. So we just showed Tampa, but we're showing the greater Tampa Bay area, and that's what I wanted to try to give you guys today. So I want to look at some of this information. What's going on in St. Pete? Well, again, St. Pete was up 22.3% in June. Average was 379. Again, they were down about 16%, and the average days on market is 8. Y'all, when I moved here, the average days on market for a property was 48. 48. I went back and looked today. It is still 8 days on market. We still have very fast velocity in terms of these houses. The ones that are priced appropriately, that have been taken care of well, they're hot properties. They are flying off the shelf still. You can see this and look at this is the data back to 2020. And days on market means when a property was listed, how long was it before it actually went pending sale or under contract? And you can see this, going back to December 2021, that was our peak over the last year. We had a dramatic drop off in the spring again down into March, and we're starting to see those days climb. But y'all, a balanced market is 6 months. That's a balanced market. We're not even close. So, while we're starting to see some leading indicators that show price compression and price resistance, what we're not seeing is a slowdown in terms of how quickly these homes are going off the market, the ones that are actually being sold. So I wanted to share that data with you. And again, how hot is the St. Petersburg market? It's still very competitive. It's still very competitive. Hot homes can sell for about 5% above list price and go pending in around 4 days. This is not lawn talking. This is actual data. right? So when you look at this, what's happening compared to nearby cities. So here's what's going on. Most homes in St. Petersburg, they're selling at 100.5% list price. 46% of them sold above list price, and there are 45%. Now, this is the number I was telling you about, right? Look at the amount of price decreases. Now, if you look from, August of 2021 to we're about to walk into to August of 2022, this number is not much different, but my gut's telling me this thing's going to actually be up over here. It's going to be closer to 60%. There's a lot. We'll get into the numbers. I'll show you guys here in a second, like the actual data locally from the MLS, but I think this is helpful. And again, thanks for sharing the day with me. Cool. So one more I want to show you guys on this. And if you don't know where to go look for this, Redfin, awesome data. I think, like I said, I think they do a kick butt job of curating that, and more importantly, making it simple to digest. I know some of this information is like, I feel like we just try to make things complicated for the sake of it, which is not cool. Which is not cool at all. And this is the last one I want to share, because we shared Hillsborough County, where Tampa is. We showed St. Petersburg and Pinellas County, where the beaches are. And now I want to show you Wesley Chapel, which is up in Pasco, which has been one of the hottest areas in Tampa. Again, when we look at numbers, right, they were up 26.3%. The average price was $441,442, really. They were down. There was 204 homes that sold. They were down almost 49% in terms of sales volume. And their median days on market, 6 days. Y'all, look at this number, man. Until you see days on market start to crank up and people losing their jobs like crazy, you can't convince me that we're having a real estate crash. It's not real, right? You are seeing a lot of pressure because of higher interest rates and uncertainty. Make no mistake, man. And like, keep watching this number. I'm not telling you things can't change. I'm just saying currently it's not on the radar. So don't have fear about that if you're looking at this. And, I've talked about this recently, is like, you can't convince me personally that the goods and services that I buy 5 years from now aren't going to cost me more money. And look at how our government, our economy, everything has acted. If I look back 5 years ago, things cost less money. Things keep costing more. This isn't changing. Inflation is here. It's riding out with this, y'all. It's an insidious tax. I hate it. We talk about it all the time. But this is Wesley Chapel. So this is to the north. For those of you that don't know, let me give you a little bit better perspective. Here's Tampa, where we started. Here's St. Petersburg, where we just were. And now we're up into Wesley Chapel, which is one of those just booming suburbs of the Tampa Bay area. It's about 50 minutes north. It's, you can get there in 35 if traffic's great, but it's typically not. So I wanted to share that with you. But again, 6 days on market is the average in June. I mean, come on, man. Things are still humming. All right. Now, again, it's even more competitive than Tampa and St. Petersburg. Those were both 81% on this chart. This one's 84. So I think that's perspective as well. They're selling at 101.3% of asking price. 48.5% of the homes that sold over asking. Y'all, 48% of the homes that were for sale sold over asking. Our real estate market is still very strong. Okay. Again, homes with price drop. Now look at this thing. It's going through the roof. This is the thing that we have to keep our eye on and watch, right? Because this is a great leading indicator of where things are going. This doesn't say you're having a crash, right? If you've got a 2.4% unemployment rate and you have people that have a 2.75 or 3.25 mortgage rate, they're not losing their homes. That's not how this works, right? But it doesn't mean that you're not going to see a bunch of pressure on the currently listed inventory or houses that are going to be listed. So keep your eye on this. I do think that opportunities are going to start to come up. I'm not saying deals, but opportunities. There are ways to take advantage of these types of markets where things become kind of stagnant. There are people who want to move, that maybe just don't have the ability because of capital, or don't want to lose interest rate, or there are buyers who want to purchase but can't do it because of interest rates. Well, if a homeowner has an assumable mortgage, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with that term, but that means a mortgage that someone else can literally just sign off on and take over. There's a lot of things you have to look at in that. But if a home buyer is trying to buy a home, they can do that. There are other things that sellers can do right now other than reducing the price. Sellers and buyers can buy down mortgage rate points to lower your monthly expense. And we've talked about this many times on this on our live stream, but I want to reaffirm with you guys, most people buy properties based upon their monthly payment, not the purchase price. Now, if you're purchasing in cash, you definitely are focused on the price and the price only. But if you're mortgaging a property, then you're really looking at, does this fit into my monthly expenditures, right? Do I feel comfortable with this number? And there's ways to work through that. So I wanted to share that with you guys just to kind of walk you through some of those details. And the last thing I wanted to do with today is get into the actual local numbers with you guys. So thanks for sticking it out with me today. You know, I would love to know where you're watching from. Give me a shout out. Let me know where you guys are at. You know, we talked about New York style pizza today, and Michael was great enough to share with us his recommendation for today. So if you're in South Tampa and you're looking for a really good pizza, Michael says go to Eddie and Sam's downtown. It's really good. And we were talking about how it's really hard to find good pizza here. And the reason being is because the water's terrible. And he said their secret is they import water from New York. So there you go. They're trying to make it better, which I thought was great. And then, like I said, the last thing I want to get into with you guys here is the local numbers and kind of talk about, you know, breaking it down from a local perspective here in Tampa. Let's get the share button working. Bear with me. All right. And now we need to go to Matrix. All right. So I share this with you guys every week. Okay. I know it's kind of hard to see. But I want to focus in on this left side over here. This is our jam. Let me get my little tool out. Can I use it? Oh, it's not going to. Oh, there it goes. All right. So we've got this little drawing tool over here, but I want you guys to focus on this side of the screen. Okay. And then we're going to get deeper into these numbers, but I just want to start with what's going on locally. All right. And what's happening here is the new listings. We had 1,409 new listings that came to the market in the last 7 days. Now this is hyper. We're looking very small window, last 7 days. All right. Price increases. There were 112 people decided to raise prices. Price decreases. Now this is the one that everybody's talking about right now. 1,895 price decreases happened in the last 7 days. Now that, like we just showed you on those charts, that number is going up a lot, right? And versus the entire inventory, we'll take a look at that in a minute too. But how many properties sold? So 1,236 properties sold. And these are the things to watch. 1,339 properties went pending. So watch this. There were 1,409 properties that were listed in the last 7 days. And there were 1,339 properties that went pending in the last 7 days. That is almost flat, meaning that every property that went up, almost every single home that was listed in the last 7 days, the exact same amount of properties went off the market. Our market is still moving very quickly. I want to share this with you guys because I don't care what other people are saying. I don't, all of that is noise. Look at the numbers. Look at where you are, okay? Is your economy still strong? Do you have low unemployment? Are people relocating to your area? And is your real estate healthy? These are the things that you have to look at because, listen, guys, we could have a recession in this country and certain areas never experience it. As a matter of fact, those areas can grow. It happens in every single recession. You can go back and look at the data, right? There'll be specific pockets. And my prayer is that Tampa is one of those areas. I don't know that, but when I look at these numbers, I feel very confident in what is happening in my local marketplace. And you should too, if you're considering making that move, y'all. So I wanted to share that with you guys. This is what's happening in this local market right now. So I hope that's helpful. Let me get this. What's going on with my tool here? This off your screen. And then I want to dig a little bit deeper on these numbers because, as you guys know, I love to share these live with you guys. So bear with me. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to walk you through. This is how I study these numbers, with what's going on. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to run the active. Okay. What I mean by that is how many properties are actively listed in the areas that I sell in or that you're considering making a move in. And we're going to talk about Pinellas County because that's where the beaches are. That's Clearwater, St. Pete. We're going to talk about Hillsborough because that's where Tampa is. Okay, so that's Tampa, Riverview, Brandon, Lithia, Fishhawk areas. That's what's going on there. And then the last thing we want to look at is at Pasco County, because I told you Pasco County was one of the fastest growing in the country, and it continues to be. And that's where Wesley Chapel is. And we started talking about that just recently as well. So I wanted to dig in here with you guys. So we're going to look at these 3 counties. We're going to look at I want to look at single family homes specifically, because that is basically the overall health of the market. Condos aren't that much different. There's a little bit of difference there, but I want to look at overall what's happening there. And we're going to look at active properties, and we're just going to click the results tab, and then we're going to look at some charts. So this is what I want to do. I want to look at what's going on. So when we look at the overall health of the market, there are 5,000 homes listed currently. The average home that is listed on the market for sale right now in Tampa is a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, 2,210 square foot home. It's currently listed at $643,879. The average price per square foot is $276.47. The average days on market is 40. This is the thing that we need to watch, right? So we were talking about this, that where are the leading indicators, right? So we've got price decreases starting to go up, and now you can see the average days on market is 40 versus our average in June that had closed was 8. So you can see it's starting to slow down, okay? And this is what I want you to keep your eye on. Again, this is not Juan sitting here telling you that we're in for a crash. The other numbers that support real estate don't say that that's the case, but we're seeing tremendous pressure due to interest rates right now. That's what I want you guys, and uncertainty because of the fear of recession, right? So that's what we're seeing in here. But I think this is a really good point to make note of, okay? So that is the average. Now, the average means that if there's 5,000 homes divided by, right? So you take the number of homes divided by the number of active listings, and it gives you how many properties were, and that's where it is. The median means the middle, like literally the price that's in the middle of all of those. That's where it comes out to. That's still a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. That's a 1,976 square foot, and that one is currently listed at $459,900. So keep that in perspective. All right. So now what I want to do is I wanted to change this data up, and I want to look at pending sales over the last 30 days. Because we're almost at the end of the month here. We've only got literally one more day. So I think this is a great time to look at this chart. Same exact numbers. So how many properties went pending over the last 30 days? What do they look like? Okay, same set of numbers here. Keen says, I'm watching from the other end of the world. Is that in California? I don't know where the other end of the world is. You gotta help me with a little better understanding where that is. I'd love to know. All right, so here we are. So pending sales, these means that properties that were listed for sale that have went under contract basically in the month of July, because that's what we're looking at here. Here's the numbers. The average was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, so is 1 bedroom smaller than the active. It was a 1,922 square foot, which this is like smack dab in what a Tampa house looks like. It was listed at $424,370 at $268 a square foot, which you're seeing there. And the average days to contract, this is days on market, but this is the days to contract, was 27 days. Okay. Average days on market is 21. So you can see that there. Again, keep our mind that we're going up on that direction on days on market. So we want to keep our eyes peeled on that because I think it's a super important stat to watch. Okay. Now what I want to do is look at sold for the last 30 days. Same thing. Pinellas, Hillsborough, Pasco County, single family homes only. We sold 3,433 properties. Again, we're not at the sales volume that we were pre-pandemic. And this is something we all need to take note of and just be really focused on as we go through this. Get it in here somewhere. All right. And this one, again, this is sold. What happened for the properties that is sold during the month of July. Okay. The average was a 3-2 again. You can see it here, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. 1,951 square foot. That's what you're going to find here in Tampa, y'all. This is what the average home looks like. So I want to share that with you. It listed at $531,235. Now here's where we need to start taking note of, right? It listed at 531 and it sold at 527. So that was the average. Okay. Now, that's not the median, but it's the average. So it's something to take note of. So when we look at these numbers next month, remember in June, we were selling at 101 or 100.5. They were selling over asking still. Are we going to see the same number when it's blended? What I mean by that is when it's condos, all those things, when they all come together, are we going to see that? Because the average is saying no. The median is saying yes. The median was listed for 429.9, and then it sold for 431.9. So we got to keep our eyes on this. But here's the thing we want to look at. Active days on market. So even during July, most of these properties were on the market for 2 weeks or less, right? 15 days. That one's just over 2 weeks. But that was the average. The median was 6. So when we start to look at these numbers, we're just seeing these numbers. Like, what I'm saying is what I see currently is the fact that I'm seeing price decreases. I'm seeing more properties get listed. Okay. And I'm seeing them take longer to go under contract. And we're also seeing more properties fall out of contract. Now, that's not abnormal. Properties falling out of contract is no big deal. But when buyers have more options, they're not going to accept your home, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, with the 15-year-old roof, knowing that they can't get it insured anymore. They're not going to accept these things. The days of a homeowner putting a house on the market and expecting 15, 20 offers when the home hasn't had anything done to it in the last 20 years, those days have come to a close, even here in Tampa. Okay. Unless you're on the beach and somebody wants it because they're just buying for the land, then you're not in that market anymore. And you need to be very mindful of it. And this is where we're trying to help our sellers right now, because they've sat back and they've watched all of these crazy prices, and they heard multiple offers, and somebody told them, yeah, 2 months ago, I got like 16 offers from. We are not in that market anymore. And if you are selling your property right now, please, please, please sit down with your real estate professional, get counsel, go through these numbers. And if they're not bringing them to you, I would strongly encourage you to interview someone else who is. You better have an agent who's buying professional photography, not their cell phone. Listen, I know these things have great cameras, but I do not have the skill set, and most real estate professionals do not have the skill set to take their cell phone and make your home look like a luxury listing, which all of our listings should be treated exactly the same. So you should have professional photography. You should have videography. Do you have drone footage? Do you have a description that breaks down the highlights of your property versus other properties? Does your agent know what is actually listed in the area? How many people have saw those houses? Like, guys, you got to ask really good questions, because we are back into a market where hiring a real estate professional who understands how to market your property correctly, who understands paid advertising strategies, organic advertising strategies. Do they work the area? Do they know these things? Man, if you're not hiring somebody that's doing this, you are really putting yourself in a disadvantage versus other homeowners who are hiring that correct professional. Are they doing staging for you? Are they bringing a staging consulting in? These are things that you should ask these people. And listen, guys, I know we all have family members and friends who are real estate pros. And what I would say is this: the time of the real estate agent who just put a sign in the yard, got the listing, put a sign in the yard and walked away from it, those days have come to a close. And they're going to get exposed and found out. And I'm not trying to beat up on my peers here, but I'm just saying this. I love what I do. I am proud of what I do. And I'm proud of the product that I put out for my home sellers. And if you don't have an agent that is doing that for you, I would encourage you to interview more. Interview more. So that's my pitch. They need to understand what's happening in their local marketplace. I'm showing you. I believe that in Tampa, Florida, we are going to start to see home prices fall. Now, I don't think that that's going to happen this month, but I think come fall, we are going to start to see those price decreases. It may even happen in the end of August here, but I think those price decreases are going to start to come. Do I think that the sky is falling? Not a chance in Hades currently, right? 2.4% unemployment rate in Tampa. It's the unofficial tech hub of Florida. People are still, this is one of the top 3 relocation areas in the country, and it's a beautiful place to live. It's an absolute beautiful place to live. So I'm very strong on Tampa. I do think that we're going to feel pricing pressure because of interest rates. I don't think that that's going to change. I do think that more people are choosing not to move because interest rates are so high. And this could last a year. It could last 2. This is the thing I don't know that I'm trying to really wrap my mind around. But my belief is whenever we get through whatever it is we're in right now, that Tampa's going to be off and running to the races again, because the word is out, y'all. And the last thing I want to leave you with is the perspective here. because you might be local going, this is unsustainable. But when the clients that I serve are moving from areas like, San Diego, Seattle, New York, New Jersey, Chicago, and they're selling homes for, 8, 9, 1 million, $1.3 million. They had a $500,000 mortgage, and now they can come to Tampa. And I just showed you the average, and they can buy a very nice home, a 2,000 square foot home, that's close to the water in cash for $450,000 or $550,000 or whatever the number is at that time. And they can pay cash for it. We're still seeing 25% of the Tampa Bay area sales have been in cash, y'all. Like, this train is not stopping. We have been found out. People are coming down. They love Tampa. Tampa is loving having new people here. And I like, if I know you're local, you're mad. You don't want anybody to move here anymore, but it's not up to us. And those days have sailed. So while I agree that can be a challenge, this is the world we live in today. And you just got to buckle up and accept it. And you got to make the best of what's happening. I think that there are good things that come with people relocating the area. I'm one of those people. And if you hate on me, so be it. That's your gig, right? But I welcome people who want to come to the area and make it better. Florida is a wonderful place to live. Tampa Bay is incredible. Between downtown, the financial district, South Tampa, the beaches, Clearwater, St. Pete. And, if you want to get out into the burbs, I mean, we're an hour away from Sarasota. We're 2 hours away from the Mouse's house. Like, it has so much to offer, y'all. I love Tampa. And hey, again, if this is your first time to the channel, thank you for coming and watching. Thanks for being on this live stream. Click that subscribe button, hit that little bell, share this with friends who are considering relocating to the area. My name is Juan Alcala. I'm a licensed real estate professional. I help people just like you buy, sell, relocate, and invest in the Tampa area. And until next time, you guys go out and live that Tampa life.